What if the reason you're exhausted isn't because you're weak, but because you've spent your life carrying everyone else's weight but your own? What if self-prioritization isn't selfish, but the most necessary act of survival in a noisy world? And what if working hard only makes sense when the effort serves you, not the version of you others expect? We live in a world that praises productivity, but punishes self-respect. A world where saying no gets labeled as rude, where choosing yourself is seen as arrogance, and where silence is often mistaken for emptiness rather than inner peace. Created this message not because I figured it all out, but because I almost lost myself trying to live by everyone else's rules. There was a time I woke up each day with a to-do list not written by me but for me. From jobs to relationships, favors to fake smiles, I was a version of myself that served others and betrayed my core. Until one day, I couldn't do it anymore. Burnout wasn't the end, it was the beginning. That breakdown led me here, to a place of stillness, clarity, and realignment. In this piece, we'll walk together through 3 transformative ideas. Why making yourself the priority is a spiritual revolution. How focusing on yourself is the highest form of self-respect. Why hard work in silence and solitude is your path to peace. Let's begin where all transformations begin, with reclaiming your space. Most of us were never taught to make ourselves the center of our own lives. We were raised to serve, to give, to accommodate, to always think about others first. And while kindness is a virtue, self-abandonment is not. Let me ask you something real. How many times have you said yes when your soul screamed no? How many times have you made space for someone who wouldn't move an inch for you? Being your own priority isn't about being selfish. It's about being sovereign. It's about recognizing that no one, not your boss, not your partner, not your family, will ever know your needs better than you do. And it is not their job to. For me, the turning point came during a hospital stay. I'd spent months overextending, emotionally, physically, financially. I was everyone's emergency contact. But the moment I collapsed, those same people were busy. Lying in that sterile white room, I asked myself, if I die tomorrow, who am I living for today? The answer was terrifying. So I made a promise. From now on, I live for me, I heal for me, I grow for me. But it wasn't an overnight shift. Choosing yourself isn't a one-time declaration. It's a daily practice. Some mornings, I still feel the old urge to overgive, to prove, to people please. But now I catch it. I breathe, I remember. I don't owe the world an explanation for preserving my peace. Making yourself the priority doesn't mean you stop caring for others. It means you start caring for yourself the same way. It means setting boundaries without apology. It means saying, I'm unavailable without guilt. It means honoring your energy, your time, your inner peace like it's sacred. Because here's what changed when I made myself a priority. I stopped explaining my no. I scheduled solitude like it was a business meeting. I invested in therapy, reflection, and walks alone. I unfollowed anyone who made me feel less than. I wrote myself permission slips to rest, to feel, to slow down. The world didn't end, but my resentment did. My exhaustion began to ease. My mornings became mine again. It's easy to lose yourself when you make everything about everyone else. Remember, no one else is living your life but you. When you make yourself the priority, you take your power back. You stop outsourcing your worth. You begin to glow from the inside, not because people approve, but because you approve. This is not selfish. This is sacred, because when you are well, everything you touch is better. So start small. Say no to one thing today that drains you. Say yes to one thing that nourishes you, then repeat. You were not born to be a second thought in your own life. The moment you decide to become the main character is the moment your story starts to shift. And once you reclaim yourself, the next challenge arises. Where does your focus go now? Now that you've made yourself the priority, a deeper question begins to surface. Where does your energy go now? What do you feed your mind, your time, your soul? We live in an age built for distraction. The modern economy thrives on stealing your attention. Notifications, trending topics, breaking news, reels, memes, likes and DMs. It never ends. Your focus has become the most valuable resource on the planet. Not oil, not gold, not land. Your attention. But here's the problem. Most people give it away like it's worthless. The average person touches their phone over 2,000 times a day, not because they need to, but because they're trained to. It's compulsive. And behind every swipe, every scroll, every just 5 minutes is an invisible cost: your inner clarity. When I began focusing on myself, I didn't know what that really meant, so I started by stopping. I unplugged for 72 hours. No social media, no emails, no multitasking, just books, walks, silence. The first day was agony. I felt like I was going through digital withdrawal. But by the third day, something beautiful happened. My thoughts came back. Not the recycled fears or to-do lists, not the echo of someone else's success, my own voice. That's when I realized I had been living in reaction mode for years. Reacting to people's opinions, to deadlines, to curated highlight reels, to things that didn't even belong to me. So I designed a new rule: create before you consume. Before I check the world, I check in with myself. I meditate, I journal, I walk, I plan my day around my values, not the algorithm. Focusing on yourself requires mental minimalism. That doesn't mean having less. It means removing mental clutter so what matters can shine through. Here's what I simplified. My morning routine. I cut it to 3 core rituals: write, move, stillness. My commitments. If it wasn't a hell yes, it became a no. My inner circle. I stopped chasing relationships that didn't energize me. My environment. I decluttered my space to reflect the clarity I wanted inside. It's not easy. There are days I slip back into old habits, but each time I catch myself sooner. That's the power of intention. That's the muscle of focus. This isn't just about productivity, it's about presence. When you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your life. You stop living in someone else's feed and start cultivating your own garden. So what can you do right now? Delete one app that steals more than it gives. Replace 10 minutes of scrolling with 10 minutes of silence. Ask yourself every morning, what do I need today that has nothing to do with anyone else? You'll be amazed at how simple the answers are: time, breath, intention. And then from that space of peace, something powerful rises. The ability to build. Not from chaos, not for applause, but from a place of grounded stillness. So now that your mind is focused, your energy aligned, what do you want to build? Let's talk about that. Now that your mind is focused and your attention has returned home, the question becomes, what will you do with this renewed clarity? The answer isn't flashy, it's not loud or viral, it's not something you can show off on social media. It's this: you work in silence, with discipline, with direction. This isn't hustle culture, this is honor culture. Because when you've finally reconnected with who you are, what follows naturally is the urge to build, to make something worthy of your time, your energy, your one short life. Working hard gets a bad reputation these days. People say things like, don't glorify overworking. And they're right. If your effort is based on guilt, burnout, or trying to prove your worth to others, but that's not what we're doing here. We're talking about hard work as devotion, not desperation. There's a difference between grinding for validation and building from alignment. The former exhausts you, the latter expands you. Let me tell you about a time when I redefined what hard work meant to me. I used to stay up late chasing deadlines I didn't even respect. I poured my energy into tasks that made other people richer, but left me empty. I was busy, but I wasn't fulfilled. Then one day I asked myself, if no one ever saw what I created, would I still do it? And if the answer was no, then maybe I was working for the wrong reasons. That's when I started working in silence. No announcements, no broadcasts, just slow, sacred action. Like Da Vinci and his Mona Lisa. 4 years of subtle perfection, 4 years of quiet obsession. He wasn't rushing, he wasn't marketing, he was mastering. That became my model. Here's how I returned to deep, fulfilling, soulful work. I built systems, not just goals. Systems protect you when motivation fades. I created rituals, morning writing, weekly planning, monthly resets. Tracked input, not just outcome. Did I show up fully? Did I honor the process? I allowed progress to be invisible until it became undeniable. Working hard in this way is not about more. It's about meaning. It's not about how much you do, but how well you do it, how aligned it is with who you are becoming. When you work like this, you become untouchable. Not because everything is perfect, but because your peace no longer depends on results. It comes from rhythm, from commitment, from showing up, even when no one claps. There is a strength in silent consistency, in waking up, doing your part, and going to bed knowing you lived with purpose. You don't need to go viral, you don't need to impress, you just need to do the work. Over and over, softly, steadily, sacredly, and you'll look up one day and realize you're not chasing potential anymore. You're living it, because your life was never meant to be a highlight reel. It was meant to be a body of work, a body of peace, a body of discipline, a body of focus, a body of quiet triumphs that only you fully understand. And that, my friend, is success. Now that you've built this rhythm, what happens next isn't noise, it's depth. Let's move into the closing reflection that ties it all together. This isn't about hustle, it's about harmony. It's about waking up and realizing you've spent years making others a priority. What if you gave that same loyalty to yourself? Let me tell you this. The moment you decide to no longer abandon yourself is the moment your true life begins. Not the life shaped by expectations or timelines or checklists, but the life that breathes. With your rhythm, your values, your presence, you may have spent years trying to earn rest, affection, or recognition. You may have been told that your worth comes from how much you do for others. But here's the quiet truth. You've always been enough, not when you're perfect, not when you've done everything, but now, as you are. And it's from that truth that self-respect grows. The Stoics weren't monks in ivory towers. They were warriors, leaders, former slaves, emperors. They faced chaos, betrayal, grief, and through it all, they turned inward. They trained their minds not to be ruled by the external, but to anchor in the internal. When you practice self-prioritization, you're not pushing people away. You're stepping back far enough to see clearly. When you focus on yourself, you're not cutting off the world. You're finally tuning into your frequency. When you work in silence, you're not hiding. You're forging something too precious to be built in the spotlight. Every sacred act you do for yourself, every morning you choose stillness, every boundary you enforce, every hour of quiet building is a declaration. I am not here to be swallowed by the world. I am here to shape it through presence. You are not behind. You are not too late. And you are not broken. You are returning to your rhythm, to your integrity, to your quiet, unwavering strength. So pause, breathe, and ask, where have I abandoned myself? What would my life look like if I stopped betraying my peace to please others? What is one act of devotion I can do for myself today? Just one? Start there. That's enough. That's powerful. Because greatness isn't built in noise, it's forged in stillness. And if you stay consistent in your intention, life won't just respond, it will reveal. The people meant for you will find you. The path meant for you will clear. And the power within you will rise. Not because you forced it, but because you finally made space. So as you leave this episode, don't rush to act. Let the message settle. Let it seep into your bones. Let it guide your next quiet step. If this message moved you, don't just scroll to the next video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There are more conversations coming, all built for the soul, not just the algorithm. Leave a comment below. What part of this message hit home for you? What are you choosing today to prioritize yourself? Share this with someone you love, who needs a reminder to return to themselves. Your voice matters, your energy matters, and your inner peace. That's your greatest wealth. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself. Until next time, be well, be whole, be undeniable.